What is up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Michael Balco Show. Real quick, just want to touch base with you guys on a couple things. First of all, there's going to be a little bit of changes going on with the Michael Balco Show. Going forward, we're going to be expanding our horizons a little bit, interviewing guests, having conversations, authentic conversations with people that are outside of the sports world, believe it or not. I encourage you guys to follow along on my social medias at Michael Balco on Instagram. I'll be posting some stories and stuff up there to promote upcoming shows. I'd love for you guys to tune in and ask some questions for answers. But for this episode, however, we're going to be interviewing a good friend of mine, Clifford Taylor IV. Cliff joins the show. He talks about his recent departure from the Los Angeles Rams, spills a lot of tea. And he also opens up about some very candid topics, talks about his battle with depression in Los Angeles, overcoming adversity and a bunch of different obstacles, and how he grew his TikTok following into social media. I encourage you guys to give this a listen. I hope you enjoy the show. Thank you. What is up, everyone? Today we are joined by my good friend Clifford Taylor IV, social media influencer, just wrapped up a Super Bowl champion season with the Los Angeles Rams. How are we doing today, my man?
Fantastic. I'm doing fantastic. Thank you.
That is good to hear. So, how is that, by the way, my man? Clifford Taylor IV. I'm a second generation myself. I've always thought it'd be pretty sweet to be the third, though. Be like some MB3 type shit, some cool nickname.
Yeah.
What's it like being a fourth?
Held the fourth down. Everywhere I go, I make sure whenever people write articles, whenever people write headlines, it says the whole name because I kind of want to make sure that it's like, all right, it's Clifford Taylor, but it's like it's me, big guy, it's me. Because sometimes my dad, he's like, man, where's my newspaper article? I'm like, hey, Dad, it just it'd be like that. So
that's just how it is. That's just how it is.
That's how it is. Definitely would have been better if I was CT3 though. That would have been a lot better. But
that's what I'm saying, bro. Some like RG3, just like scramble in the pocket type shit, bro. That'd be wild.
Yeah, but it is what it is. All good, man.
It's not a Michael Balco show without repping the area code. Rep that 704 real quick. And then tell us how a kid from Charlotte falls in love with Florida football, my guy.
Oh, boy. So fell in love with Florida football again through my father, CT3. My dad went to Florida. My uncle went to Florida. Cousins, aunts, like you name it, they went there. There were no Hurricanes, no Seminoles in our family. It was straight Gators. And so I grew up a Gator fan. I grew up in the era of Chris Leak, who was actually one of my favorites. Him and Tebow are neck and neck to me because Chris Leak's from Charlotte, so I've always kind of held that down for him. But I grew up in the glory days, Gator Slam. They won, championships in football and basketball. So my childhood, for the most part, was pretty solid. Then we got to middle school, and then I met my best friend, who went to Florida State. So how that went. So it kind of flipped the script a little bit. So at first, growing up a Gator fan, it was great. Then, middle school, high school was kind of hard. But then once I got there, it was just like, okay, we started off rough, but then you talk about a bounce back. So it's been just a surreal experience. It's hard to just even put in words. It just happens so fast. It's like you dream about going to Florida your whole life, and then after you graduate, it's like, okay, now what? But I gotta say, going back anytime I can as an alumni, that hits different every single time.
Yeah, most definitely. And I know we're not going to touch on your entire background here because we've done a whole podcast together already. If you guys want to check it out, it's going to be in the link of this podcast as well as Cliff's YouTube, all that good stuff. We're going to touch on all that stuff later. Oh, that was a little flick of the wrist right there. Okay, a little lights on, lights off action.
I can see it beam in my eye. I'm like, nah, let me just.
Yeah, I'm dead. All right. But February 13th of last year, we debuted our episode together. It was lit. We touched on your whole journey, man. It was kind of like the start of your TikTok career. Like you still had a ton at that point, obviously, but you have even more now, a whole year and a month later. And we kind of took a deep dive into your journey, and we've stayed in touch ever since. A nice genuine friendship, man. We text each other all the time. Like this little brand new logo in that
wrong way.
That corner of the screen was actually made by my wife, and we got it approved by the man himself, Cliff Taylor IV. But yeah, man.
That's another thing. Y'all weren't married when we did the podcast yet, were you?
No, I think we were.
No,
I don't even know
no.
if we were engaged. We might have been engaged.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
because I remember, huh? Yeah, there you go. Hey.
I appreciate it. Appreciate it. We're actually almost married a year now, man. That's crazy. 10
Oh man,
days.
unbelievable, unbelievable.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. But yeah, so that's just my little shout out to you. Thank you for actually being a friend and staying in touch with your boy. Means a
Absolutely, man.
lot.
Absolutely.
So we are going to touch on your background just a hair, though. You're a walk-on for the Florida football team, as you could tell by this lovely background we have here. It's one of the coolest stories I've ever been able to share on my show. Played a flag football game, man. Right eye saw you out there just leaping over dogs and just scoring tutties left and right. That's kind of how that happened. And you got into TikTok, all that stuff. Why don't you go ahead and just kind of summarize your journey to like social media stardom, and getting to play for them Florida Gators.
Yeah, that damn flag football game, man. But yeah, regular flag game, 4 or 5 touchdowns. A guy, Rob Clay, who was a walk-on at the time, was asking me if I wanted to play. And at the time I was like, nah, I've never considered it. And then that week led up to the LSU game. And then I was like, okay, I want to do this now. And so from that point on, I just started getting like in shape. I went from like 200 to like 225, 230. Put on some muscle, had to try out, had to wait a little bit, but eventually made the team. And it was just like, it just all happened so fast. And it was just like, it's like, damn, like I'm playing for the Gators now. Like all these guys that I thought were like superheroes, icons, like I'm now like their teammates, which was crazy. So yeah, those 2 years, they just came and went. And during that time, of course, I developed TikTok, which, I'm forever thankful that I started around that time, because I feel like now in this day and age, it's so hard to grow now unless you have some sort of, I don't want to call it annoying niche, but annoying niche. Sometimes people just gravitate towards that nowadays. It's definitely a lot different than what it was before. I mean, you could literally just run a single dig route a couple of years ago, 1 million views. Now you got to be so creative and do like this ballerina type shit and all that good stuff. So it's definitely been a game changer. So being able to do that while I was playing college ball, I honestly really wish that NIL had happened in the winter of last year, because if it was already in place, I probably would have did a 5th year, because that NIL money would have went crazy. I know Michael and I probably would have still been close. Michael Raymond, that is, who's my agent. We probably would have still been together. But yeah, I tell the guys all the time, like, I want y'all to know something. I was like, y'all do realize if I was still playing on this team, y'all wouldn't have none of those deals, right? I joke with them all the time, but no, it's good. It's good seeing these guys get what they're worth. Talking to my guys like Chief Borders, who I love. He's like a little brother to me. Still staying in touch with the other walk-ons. It's just those little things, man, that make such a difference.
Yeah, and I kind of wanted to piggyback off of what you said about TikTok and how it's so hard to grow these days, because your boy's been trying, dog, and like I've had a little bit of success. Obviously, it's not my face, because I'd get 0 views if it was just my face. But posting like what happened to clips and things like that of like college athletes and all that good stuff and what happened to them. It's getting a little bit of traction. I saw that shit on my For You page, and I'm just like,
yeah,
hey, yeah. But I just gave up, bro. Like I posted a good one. It was of like Central Michigan. I had Antonio Brown, JJ Watt as a tight end, bro. I had a bunch of other dudes. I think it was like Glenn Dorsey or something.
I remember, the guy that did I remember him.
Yeah. He had like 1,000. It got like 1,000 views. I was like, bro, I'm done with this. Like, I can't do it, bro. Like,
I will tell you firsthand, that's one of the biggest pains in the world. You put so much effort in the video and then flops. So trust me, that's a pain that I wish on no man.
Bro, it's like the worst thing ever, too, because it's like the ones you put tons of effort in. I can't believe I'm about to admit this on a podcast, bro, but I am not going to lie. During quarantine, there was a time I let my wife put makeup all over me, bro, and it was like that flip the switch trend.
Yeah,
bro.
Yeah.
It was posted for a good week on my Joan. It only had like 500 views. It was posted on hers. I think it got like 1,000 or something like that, maybe more. I don't remember, but
you were like, what I do this for?
It was like all this effort, bro, and like that mascara hurt, bro. Like, I ain't even going to cap with you, but it was the worst thing ever. But you grew yours to currently it's at 334.6 grand. So the real congrats goes out to you, my boy, because that's wild. And yeah, you were able to take a social media job and design coordinator with the Los Angeles Rams for this past season. So that kind of segues into this next topic. After college, whenever you were scouting around looking for jobs, what were some of the things that factored into your decision making, and what ultimately led you to the Los Angeles Rams?
So during that time, it was definitely like a grind, definitely a hustle. I was reaching out to not just sports teams, but like firms, just regular local companies. And one thing that I wanted out of the company or organization was I wanted us all to feel like family. Sports is always going to be, top choice for me. And fortunately for me, I had connects with, some of my advisors at Florida, and they had connects at Wilson, and then Wilson had connects at the Rams because I had an internship with Wilson before I got my internship with the Rams. And so Wilson put in a good word for me. And then I sent them my stuff, and I pretty much skipped the entire, 400 applicants. Cause I remember my first interview, they said it went from like 400 to 14. If I remember correctly, it was like 400 to 14. And then they narrowed down to 7 and then 3. And then next thing you know, voila. And so it's funny too, because Van actually spoiled it for me. So I come home. I think I was coming home from like Rice Union or something like that, and I was just like eating a burger or whatever. And Van texted me. He's like, "Hey, congrats, man!" And I'm like, Did he mean to send that to me?" I was like, I haven't said anything to him since the postseason, and I was like, "What's he saying congratulations for?" And then about 5 minutes later, my then boss Jamie Hahn, she called me. She was like, "Hey, we want to say congratulations on offering the role," and it was like, "Oh snap!" And then right after that, it was just like, well, I'm not gonna say no to a professional sports team who has a shot at the Super Bowl. So I was like, I guess I'm packing my things and going to LA. And if you would have told me a year prior that I was gonna work for the Los Angeles Rams, who I at the time was throwing so much shade for their uniform, I was like, man, you would be out of your mind. And then the opportunity came, and it was just like whoa, it's crazy. And it was definitely one hell of an experience. First year in the league to win a Super Bowl. A lot of people don't know this too, but our social team for most of the season, it was only 3 of us, and we were 22, 22, and 23. And so I'm pretty sure we were the youngest squad to ever do it, and I think we did the damn thing. And so and then we had our new boss come in, Kirk Guys, who's incredible. He's been all over. He's been with the Sixers. He's been with the Clippers. Me and him are like this forever now. So him coming in and kind of like shifting the culture a little bit, it was just like it just went by just so fast. It's unbelievable. And I never thought I'd be sitting here rocking this Super Bowl hat in front of on the. So that's it's unbelievable, unbelievable.
Yes, sir, bro. The city of angels, dog. Like
Mm-hmm.
the city of angels, bro.
Yeah.
So, as a notable content creator, like you at that time, I mean, you were already like on TikTok. You already had a following. Did the opportunity to move to Los Angeles, like, I mean, obviously Los Angeles is notoriously known for being like the grooming destination for content creators, YouTubers across the world, all
Yeah.
things like that. Celebrities move there. Did that factor into that decision at all? I mean, I had to a little bit, right? Like just
Yeah, not as much as one would think. And the reason I say that is because uh, I had like real man to man conversations with my parents about it before I could even think about that. And honestly, it blew my mind when my dad was like, honestly, you should take this opportunity because not everyone gets to say they work for a professional sports team, let alone like hang with all of these starstruck players like Jalen Ramsey's of the world, Aaron Donalds, Cooper Cubs, Matthew Stafford's, whatever the case is. So we had those conversations first. And then I really didn't have the opportunity conversation until I spoke with Michael Raymond. And he was telling me there's so many like deals that we signed with out there in LA. And it's like, if you're already there, the opportunities are endless. So I kind of took both of their words and I just took it with a grain of salt. And I was like, okay, looks like we coming to LA. I will say this though. Would never recommend moving unless you got it, because it costs an arm and a leg to live in the trenches. So I would never recommend moving out here unless again you had it, like you're good financially. So it's great to visit, great for vacation. Traffic is terrible, gas is terrible. But yeah, no, it's been it's yeah, I still to this day pinch myself like I'm not in Florida. I'm 2,000 miles that way or 2,000 miles west. So, it's definitely been a game changer, no doubt.
Because I know like every offseason, it seems like every offseason now, Juju Smith-Schuster is a free agent, and everyone's always like, he's going to go to either the Chargers or he's going to go to the Rams just
Yeah.
because of all the. Obviously, he's huge on TikTok, and I mean, you know that, everybody knows that, and it's just like all those opportunities. But like, I don't know, man, how many like collaborative opportunities did you have, and how many did you take while you were in Los Angeles?
Collaborative. I had a couple. AJ Green or AJ Green 15, however you know him, and I are pretty close friends. We're kind of like
Green with an E at the end, baby.
Green with an E at the end. Yeah. So him and I had been close friends for a long time. I remember when he had 300,000 followers, and now he's propelled to like over 2 million. Is just kind of watching him kind of take over the scale has been amazing. Amazing seeing his YouTube grow now too. It's been great to see, especially as a friend, and he deserves it, man, because like his story and the way he was kind of robbed of going to the league, it makes me feel bad for him because he had an opportunity, was going to all these combines, and then COVID happened and it kind of ruined everything. And so he took that and said, you know what, I'm going to inspire people and I'm going to make content and just make videos. And now I think he's doing phenomenal. And his videographer Ethan, who is one of the filthiest videographers out there, they're kind of like two peas in a pod now, so they're doing their thing, and hopefully I can find one either out here or back home, so I can kind of hop on that wave too a little bit, because I'm trying to trying to expand my horizons a little bit. Might jump on the little Twitch too, you know what I mean? But yeah, I was able to collaborate with NHL because I did a little sports challenge thing, because I noticed a few premier sports leagues were following me, and it was just like, man, it'd be dope if we all became friends. And so MLB jumped on, NASCAR jumped on, NHL jumped on, and then NHL and the Kings, they invited me to a Kings game, and I didn't think anything of it. Then they pulled up with a whole jersey with my number and name on it. It was like, oh snap! Like,
Yeah,
whoa!
I remember that one.
Oh man, that was so cool. And yeah, now I'm a Kings and Hurricanes fan, but more so Kings because they did that for me. And then NASCAR, which was so cool. That was actually my first time in the Coliseum. So they had a big NASCAR event. They called it the Clash of the Coliseum. So I met everybody. I met Bubba Wallace, who I've been a fan of for a very long time. I just met Penske. I met Team Penske, so they were all great. And I was looking for like the Dale Earnhardts, the Jeff Gordon. Jeff Gordon was there too, so that was cool. They had a freaking intermission performance, which never happens. They had Pitbull and Ice Cube, which was dope. I walked right by Ice Cube, and I didn't even notice until about like 10 feet later. It's Ice Cube, but I couldn't say anything because I didn't want to freak him out or anything. But yeah, no, the collaborations have been great. Also was able to collab with a girl who's phenomenal, Jenna Bandy, who does like trick shots, who does videos like that. I've been following her for a couple years now as well. So met her. I met a few others like Annie Agar, or Agar, however you say her last name, before
the tweets.
Before the tweets. Did not know about that. It was crazy. Met Brittany Wilson. What's her last name now? Because she just got married. But Brittany Wilson, who's now a goalkeeper for Angel City. So yeah, I've had a few collaborations. I think the coolest thing is that me and AJ would go to these high schools, and they wouldn't like know who we are. I would understand if they knew AJ, but there were kids like doing the Gator song, being like saying like Clifford, and I was like, oh, this is sick. So I would pull up the high school games, and kids would know who I am, and it's just like that is honestly the coolest feeling ever. So because I was once those kids, whenever like a big time influencer or athlete pulled up to a high school game, I would lose my mind. So it's cool to kind of be on the other side of that coin.
Yeah, I remember those dope ass photos you freaking dropped on Instagram after that too, and I'm like, damn, all right, you got it like that. I see you. All right, so we're gonna flip the script a little bit. So once you get to LA, you accept the position with the Rams. You were super open on both your TikTok, on social media as a whole, about like your struggles with depression and that transition from Florida to Los Angeles. Like talk about some things that were going on like in your head, some of the struggles that you were going through, and then how you overcame like the obstacles and you remained in Los Angeles and you persevered through that. Just drop some knowledge and some adversity overcoming to the listeners today for us.
Yeah, man. Yeah, June of last year was a rough one. It was a rough one because so much was happening. I was looking for apartments. That wasn't going good. I was about to leave my dream school. That didn't help. And I gotta say, man, whether people believe it or not, imposter syndrome is a real thing because the more and more and the closer the days got to, finally working, I kept thinking, I was like, am I ready for this? Am I made for this? Am I built for this? Like I just didn't know. Like there were just too many questions popping up in my head. And then it was just this thought of like, what if I fail and people, laugh at me and view me as a failure. It was just all those fears just kind of kept like crawling in, and just some of the old fears I used to have as a kid. And when you put those all together and stir it in a pot and then just pour it on my head, it's like it's not good. So I never forget, like I think it was June 19th of last year. I had a like just a mental breakdown unlike anyone I've had up to that point. And I didn't talk to anybody. I didn't talk to anybody for like 2 or 3 days. Not my parents, not my best friends, like nobody. I just isolated myself, from the world. And that was just time for me to just like reconcile and just kind of do some self checking. And it's like, okay, like who am I, what do I want to accomplish, who do I want to be? And once I was finally speaking with family and my friends, and they coming from, because that was the first time my dad and I had those real like man-to-man conversations about it, because my dad didn't really understand it at the time. My mom did, because my mom is the sweetest lady on earth. But yeah, just having those man-to-man conversations with my dad definitely helped as far as making the transition, because he understood where I'm coming from. Because the furthest my dad moved from home was literally from Florida to Carolina, and that was it. And so just making that transition, especially, being an only child, being so sheltered, growing up, it's just it's a domino effect. So when I came out here, it was like, okay, my family's here to help me. I have some resources at the Rams that I learned about. So those definitely did help. So the first portion of the job was really good. Like the first couple of weeks were going great. Come back from graduation, and next thing you know, we're ready to kick off the season. And then like some things happened, like with the whole end zone thing that drew it drew a lot of attention. And I wasn't trying to like get free clout or anything. I was just trying to inspire people who ask me on a daily basis, like, hey, what's it like working in sports? What's it like working for the Rams? Just those questions that I used to ask. So I want to be on the other side of that coin and helping, because all it takes is a couple, messages a day to like change someone's life. So that was my approach. And then some those higher powers, like the VPs of media or whatever, didn't like it. And from that point on, I just knew something wasn't going quite right. And then I started noticing like I was never able to like speak with her one on one while everyone else was. And there were times I just felt like I was the outsider of the whole department. Again, nothing bad. Nothing. I have nothing bad to say about the four of us on our social team. Like Patty, Christy, Kurt, even Jamie when she was here. I will never have anything bad to ever say about them in my entire life. So this has nothing to do with them. It just had everything to do with the higher powers, if you will. And so I never was able to create that chemistry. Granted, she was very, very direct, which I don't think really helped. But yeah, just kind of having those conversations. And then around September, I don't know, man, I don't know what was going on with me. September, like October, I just felt like nothing was going right. I just felt like anytime I messed up even the slightest, it would just like ruin, my my entire day. And so then at that point it was kind of going back to what happened in June, when I was just like in a mental like mind F, if you will. And I just had another mental breakdown. And then at that point I just started like, because I would just like just type my emotions and just kind of like leave my phone alone, because it was just like it was the only thing I had going for me. Like I couldn't talk to anyone. My family was 2,000 miles, from home, so it was definitely definitely a lot. And so when I finally had a conversation, with some of those people, um, I mean, it was kind of one of those things where it was like one ear and out the other, because our therapist, who was good, he would check on me, which was good, but like it was never anything direct with her. And then I kind of like started seeing like little things, like for example, Christmas. So we're kind of getting in the tea now, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, so no, so week 18, 49ers, um, you know, everybody got gifts from except me. And then when we go back to the offices to start the new year, everyone at their desk had monitors, they had name tags, what have you, but me.
Damn, what the
Fast
fuck?
forward, yeah, and then fast forward, and I haven't said this anywhere. Well, I said it in my video, but they'll see this first. But yeah, no. So NFC Championship game, NFL media is going to be there. They're going to take over some of the press box, which where we usually sit. And in our meeting, I remember her saying it's like, yo, it's going to be narrowed down, but it was just like, okay, probably like marketing and merch people, they'll probably be shifted because social media, we gotta watch the game in order to to get stuff out quicker. And so I was under the assumption like, okay, we're good. I'd say Friday night at like 11 p.m. Not even like during the daytime. Friday at like 11 p.m. I got word that I wasn't gonna be in the box. So I'm like, where am I gonna be? And then she showed me, and it was literally like almost like a cubicle like this with a TV, and all I could do was watch the TV and just hear the crowd through the door in this little box that I was in. So I spoke to my boss, who was relatively new. Like Kurt joined in November, late October, November. So I was just kind of having those man to man conversations with him, which was good. I mean, it definitely helped make that experience a little better. But yeah, like to be honest with you, like during that game, I couldn't focus. I wasn't focused, and at one point, I just broke down because it was like this is kind of what I felt like in the beginning, where it felt like I was the outside link, the outcast, the outsider, and yeah. So that game, I'll never forget. So we won, and I go upstairs and to the press box where everyone else is. And I told her, I said, honestly, man, like I don't know whether to be happy or pissed. Like, granted, we won, but it was just like I didn't feel like I was part of the team. And so once we were done working, getting stuff up, then we go in the confetti, and then we walk out, and then I bawled my eyes out again because I knew that was a sign from God telling me it's like it's time for a change. It's time to move on. It's time to go somewhere where you feel like you're a part of a family. Like I didn't feel it at that moment. Granted, I was doing snow angels and all that good stuff, but you know, in my mind, I was like, it's time for a change. Like that was probably the longest drive home I think I've ever had in my life, because it was just like I really thought like it was dead silent in the car, no music, no nothing. So I kind of knew from that point it was like, okay, now I gotta start, switching gears a little bit. So that happens. We win Super Bowl bound. And during this time, again, heard nothing from. And so I remember one of my good friends from Florida. She was in town, and I was just trying to show her around because she had talked about like possibly moving out here. So I was just like, yeah, let me just take you under my wing. I'll just show you around because I have all my credentials and stuff. So we drive downtown, drive to the Hollywood sign, all that good stuff, and go to Inglewood, and then I take her to the stadium. And I wasn't going in the stadium. I was just doing like a walk, like a lap around. And apparently word got out, and then the following Monday, that was the first conversation I ever had with. And she goes like, "Where were you Saturday?" And I'm like, "I was nowhere Saturday. On Friday, I was at SoFi." And then she was like, "Yeah, that." And then like she was just going on this whole rant about like we not me and all this other stuff. And it was just like, well, if it's we not me, then why is this our first conversation in like 4 months? If it's so we not me, then why is this our first one-on-one conversation that we've had since freaking week 1 of the regular season. And so that was just another thing. And like, and I, I apologize to the higher people, like the CMO cat who's amazing. I apologize to her, and even she was like, yeah, like I don't know why it was, such a big thing, but again, that happened. And then fast forward to the Super Bowl, which was great. I invited my best friend Jared, who was my childhood friend, Florida State Seminole, all that good stuff. So he was eager all week trying to get his hands on a Jalen Ramsey jersey. Could not do it, and I think it was best that he didn't on account of what happened. But yeah, no, that whole week it was just one of those times where so many things were going right that you just start to like question. And it's like, hold up, let's back it up a little bit. So yeah, I mean that whole week was great, and then we end up winning the Super Bowl, which was unbelievable. And then we go to the parade. So parade goes.
It's a deep sigh before, bro. You know you're about to drop some shit, bro.
So we go to the parade. We all got to work the parade, obviously. Every member on social team gets a spot on the bus, and there was like 6 buses. Any guesses who didn't get a spot?
You.
Me.
Of course.
And so at that point, I was just like, all right. And so we go to get our credentials before we head to the Coliseum, which was the final spot of where the players are going to go to a podium. And the girl goes, yeah, your name's not on the list. And I'm like, what do you mean? I work for the Rams. Calls, and she's like, go to the Coliseum. And I'm like, listen, if I go to the Coliseum and there is not a credential there, I'm going home. Like I just want that to be clear. So thankfully, one of my coworkers was already there. So I called him. I said, hey, did they have any credentials of any kind over there? And he was like, no. And I was like, okay. So after fighting with this girl at the table for like 5 minutes, I finally got my credential. So I already knew the day wasn't going to go quite right. The parade itself was great. The fans were amazing. The players were drunk as hell. And so, which was pretty funny to me. They deserve it. And so the parade goes, Matthew Stafford, the famous, we appreciate you. Let's go. And then of course the girl falling, which was crazy. I didn't even see it. But yeah, that was wild. And so after it's done and we're like getting stuff up, I start walking behind the team buses, going to the studio room that we were using. And I saw people that weren't even Rams employees taking pictures with the Vince Lombardi trophy, the actual one that the players were holding. And I'm like, oh snap, that's the trophy. Let me get right. Let me get ready for a picture. Sure enough, I walk up there to try to get a picture. They put it and cover it up with a blanket. As soon as I pull up, and I was like, all right, I get it. It's Lombardi trophy. So I just walk back. I turn around, more people who aren't even Rams employees taking pictures with it. And I was like, all right, let me just finish this work and let me just refocus, and then I'll go back out. Go back out. Sure enough, people are still taking pictures with the Lombardi. Still. So I'm like, let me just try this one more time. So I go, like, yo, can I please get a picture? Sure enough. And that was pretty much like the straw that broke the camel's back at that point. And I was like, yep. I was like, I'm out of here. I'm out of here. And so sure enough, they're like, hey, we're not gonna renew you and all that good stuff. And I was like, cool. I probably wasn't gonna come back anyway, because I mean, y'all knew my mental state here anyway. And y'all talk about it's a family and we not me. And it's like, I don't see that. I don't feel that. And to this day, I still don't know if I'm getting a ring or not. I hope so. I'll even pay for him. I told him that. So yeah, I still have no idea. If I don't get one though, we're gonna know. That's
we'll have you having a third episode.
Yeah, round 3. Yeah.
Yeah, damn, that was a lot. Holy shit. And we're gonna touch on it again. We're gonna touch on it again more a little bit later too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess going back to the original part of the question, I can like 100% relate to like, getting so close to something, or even like being there, for example, and then just like questioning everything. like I don't think anybody knows this, especially nobody that listens to my podcast. I don't think anybody besides my wife and her family knows this actually, but we came so close. I was offered a job in Iowa, man, to write for a newspaper. This was back before the blue check, back when the
Mm,
podcast was just like doing its thing, whatever, wasn't putting too much effort into it. But I got offered a job, man, to move to Iowa, like literally the middle of nowhere in Iowa, bro.
mhm,
And I even sat in on a meeting. Like I got the job, I was hired. It was going to be my highest paying job to that point, like all that good stuff, man. And it was a week before we're supposed to move, and I'm on the phone with the guy. Not gonna name him. I think I forgot his name at this point, honestly. But but our initial phone call was high energy, man. Like similar to the way I'm just talking to you, bro. Like, and I felt
yeah,
like I was talking to a friend. He's like excited to have me, fired up, all that stuff. But that
mhm,
last phone call, man, it was just like my wife and I, man, countless sleepless nights just looking for a place to stay that would accommodate us and our animals and things like that, man. But whenever we finally found a place that we loved, it was just like, all right, this would be perfect. And then and mind you, it's like probably 10-15 minute drive from the city that it would be in, and all of that. Like the actual position would be a 15-minute drive every day, which is I travel more for work every day now. Like,
yeah,
but he was just like, yeah, if you move there, we're not gonna be able to offer you the position. And I'm just like, why? Like, there's nothing in the city, that would accommodate us,
right,
so on and so forth. And it's just like, all right, well, let me talk to my wife. And I hang up the phone, I look right at her, she looks at me, and we're just like, we're not going. And it was just kind of, we just knew, you know what I mean? It's just like we had one of those things where it's just like, we had literally everything was packed up. Like we were ready to go. We contacted moving companies. Like we were doing the damn thing, bro. And it was just like, we're not going to do it. Like we just got like a sense, similar to you, where it's just like, we're just not going, man. And so I can definitely relate to you in that standpoint for sure. But real quick, we are going to take a quick commercial break and we will be right back. So enjoy this ad from our sponsors. How is it going, guys? I just want to take a quick second to shout out the sponsor of today's episode, Donato's Pizza. Donato's prides themselves on ensuring that every piece of their pizza is the best piece of pizza that you will ever eat, and I can attest to that, guys. I love some Donato's pizza, and I promise you that you will love some Donato's pizza too. They have 3 locations in the Erie area and many, many, many more across the country. Make sure you guys are checking out your local Donato's today, or go to www.donatos.com for more information. And we're back. What's up, everybody? We're back with Clifford Taylor the fourth. We were just talking about a bunch of different topics. We spilled a little bit of tea. We're going to touch some more on this tea on the second half of this show. But the first question coming back from the break, was the city of Los Angeles what you thought it would be, or is the city, quote unquote, the city of opportunity, is it a bit overhyped? Give us that tea.
City of Opportunity, not overhyped. It's not. It is not overhyped. If anything, it's underhyped. So that's very true. The city of LA it's unbelievable. It sucks. I don't really have any friends out here, because if I had friends out here, I probably would have been going to Santa Monica Beach, every single weekend. But yeah, Los Angeles is it's unbelievable. The community is great. I stay in the Valley. Canoga Park. The people around here are really really nice. So yeah, it's definitely a lot. I will say this, and I don't care if they get mad or not. In and Out, overrated,
Facts. That's
overrated.
facts, bro.
The burgers are fantastic. The fries taste like sandpaper. So
Bro, I've never been on the In and Out train, bro. They're
yeah,
so much better. They're so much better out there.
yeah. So uh, yeah. Other than that, yeah, it's the city of opportunities, the city of just so many bright lights and so many stars. I'm honestly surprised I've never seen just like a star walking out in public. I'm kind of
You
glad
have it?
yeah, I haven't. I'm honestly kind of glad I haven't, because it would just be too much mayhem. I do know this. You go on the Walk of Fame, uh, man, people are trying to sell their albums. People are trying to sell their artwork, their robots and stuff like that. And it's just so much. And I like to kind of stay away from all that drama. So it's definitely a culture shock, but it was really cool being out here for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So you start working for him. Speaking of Walk of Fame, because I feel like this is Walk of Fame worthy. I feel like this is because you took over their TikTok when they had 400K. The time you leave, man, they're at 1.2 mil to date.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah,
today, this morning, I checked, they're at 1.2 mil.
yeah.
To put that in perspective, I had to put my little research cap on, throw the glasses on this morning, do a whole lot of looking up 32 NFL teams and how many TikTok followers they have. You got them to 7th in the NFL currently, my man. Put
Mm.
that on the resume. Make sure you put me in parentheses, researched by Mike Balco. But
Did not know that. Wow, did not know that.
hit them with the rumor has it. But no, no. But no, going to the actual question. What all did your job entail? Like when you were hired, what did your job entail? And how did you organically grow the account? Kind of just take us into a day in the life and then give us some tips on how you like organically grew the Los Angeles Rams TikTok account.
Yeah, so I'll never forget. So in the beginning, they didn't give me the TikTok reins, which at the time I was cool with because it's like, okay, this gives me an opportunity to really learn the base platforms like Snapchat, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. So it was like a learning curve for me, and it was a learning curve of, the best kind. And then they just kind of got to a point where it was just like, you know what, we're just gonna give everyone their strengths and just run with it. And so when they gave me the TikTok reins, I kind of did like a little analysis, almost like a recruiter or a coach. I just kind of went back to where they started and I just looked at videos that they did and I was like, all right, good. No, no, no. It was like a lot of it was pretty, either football-esque or just uncoordinated as hell. And so I was just like, nah, nah, nah. Let me come in every Monday with a game plan of the stuff we're gonna get out, whether it's a skit, a question of the day, practice footage, mic'd up, or just Rampage being Rampage. We got to use all of our assets the best we can. And I just didn't think they did that before, respectfully. So I was just like, no, let me just, let me work. And my goal was to get at least 3 videos up per week. If you get too many up, it's gonna draw people away. It's like, all right, it's the Rams again, yada yada yada. But definitely getting the likes of Von Miller and OBJ definitely did help propel it, to where it is right now. So I would pretty much just handle TikToks. I would do skits in this room or outside of my apartment or at the Rams facilities. And then I would handle, photo galleries that went up on Twitter and Facebook. I would just handle slates, the pretty old filters that teams use to put on their IG stories and Snapchats. I would handle the developments for that. I just, posted something today where they sent me a whole booklet, which was really dope. Yeah, so that was really my main responsibilities. And then on game day, handling, of course, like pre-game galleries, post-game galleries, pressers, media availability, just getting coverage and just getting clips up on Instagram and Snapchat, whether it was like an interception, a sack, or a touchdown, or whatever the case is. So it was definitely a lot of responsibilities, and the amount that I learned in these last few months has just been unbelievable. I wouldn't take it back for anything. And I think it was good for me because I kind of had that attitude like going before I started with the Rams, like, okay, I'm gonna just be a creator and I'm gonna just ride out. But I'm glad I took this because it gave me like an opportunity to kind of see both sides of that coin. What's it like being a creator? What's it like being behind the scenes? Which one do I like better? And it's honestly kind of 50. Actually, I'd say 60-40. I still like, creating and then doing this, behind the scenes. But yeah, it was definitely a really good learning curve. And like I said, it was a great experience.
You would think that how many TikTok followers do you have at the time of like your hire at the Rams approximately?
A little under 300, a little under.
So you would think, right? Like if I'm running the Los Angeles Rams, bro, and
Mhm.
I hire somebody with 300,000 TikTok followers, that they would probably be the TikTok guy, like straight from the jump, dog. Like,
Yeah, but I never wanted to go in with that mindset as like, oh, I'm better than them. I know more than them. It was just kind of like they know more about behind the scenes than I do. So I'm gonna just, shut up and listen. And I'm glad I did because they were able to give it back to me. And here they are now, 1.2 million followers later.
yes, they're all downhill from here, by the way. No, no,
I'm
I'm
not
just
I'm not wishing that on the 4 of them. I'm
I
not. I'm not
I
that.
know. Shout out to the 4 that's still there because y'all
Yeah.
some real ones. I know I know when Cliff makes a nice, good post about people, and I saw y'all's friendship, man, just through my little phone screen. I could tell that y'all really got it going, and I knew whenever we were talking about spilling some tea that no tea was going to be directed towards them because I could tell
I
that
know.
that you appreciate them, my man. So that's worth mentioning for sure because I'm sure they're going to be tuning into this.
Yeah.
But with that being said, it's time to really spill the tea. I know we kind of touched on the tea, and I know we kind of like whenever you first dip the tea bag into the water, that's kind of what we just did. But it's time to just like vent, bro.
Mhm. Uh, Pretty much. Whew,
Where do you start? I guess.
where do I start?
I guess let me help you out. When did you first start feeling like the team was distancing themselves from you? And do you feel like this is just kind of an off the dome question? Do you kind of feel like, you having a large TikTok following, you being a content
Yes.
creator of note factored into them? Oh, well, I'm not going to show him any favoritism because it might offend our normal employees. One.
100%. They will never admit that, but I swear to you, it had a whole lot to do with it. Because I promise you, if it was anyone else on the social team that posted that video with the end zones, they would not get nearly as much flack as I did from with that whole situation. So I believe that, and I know that for a fact. They will never admit that, but yes, 100%. Now, again, when he says team, he's not talking about the players, y'all. I love the players. The players loved me. I had a great connection with all of them. Not to mention, Van, of course. So we had that bond. But yeah, no, 100%, 100%. Because the way I came in was so non-traditional compared to everyone else. Because everyone else came in with a resume of working for other teams or just other businesses. I was fresh out of college, just making videos. Who just happened to have a graphic design major, and they just kind of went hand in hand. And they're just like, okay, we want that guy. So yeah, no, 100%, 100%.
And then did fans come up to you a lot whenever you were working? And then
Yeah,
was that pinned against you as
yeah,
well? So
yeah.
just like everything you did, they're just like, fuck you, basically.
I mean, who knows, man? I mean, like at training camp, people noticed me, and it stuck because when you're working, you can't really stop and stop working just to kind of do stuff, for personal gain or whatever.
Mhm.
But deep down, it's like I don't know how to do that because it's like I was once that kid, and he's gonna look at me like, who the hell does this kid think he is? Not taking a
Mhm.
picture with me. So that was definitely hard. I did sneak a few in. I had to, but yeah, no, it was very very hard. But anytime I went to these high schools and they're like, hey, I saw you on Rams TikTok. I'm like, damn right. So yeah, anytime away from work, all bets were off. So yeah, it was definitely hard for sure.
Yeah, man. It just baffles me, bro. I mean, I guess it doesn't baffle me as much, not to like offend anybody that works for the Rams right now, but like we heard in recent years that like they're not even paying players, bro. Like there's players filing lawsuits against the Rams right now. You know what I mean? About like loss of money. I think Clay Matthews is the guy.
Clay Matthews.
Um,
Mhm.
yeah. And it's just like some of these things you're saying don't, I mean, they surprise me, but like they don't really surprise me just
Mhm.
considering, that as well. And so I don't know, man. It's so shitty because like I guess when you think about like the lore of working for an NFL franchise, you don't really consider that like I guess it's a real ass job. Like,
Right.
everybody has their own problems at their own jobs and things like that.
Mhm.
Um but it's just like you I guess you forget that the NFL is just a job for people, just normal people sometimes too. And then yeah, I mean just you coming on here and just saying all those things, bro. It's definitely there was some favoritism going on, and it's like not even close, bro. It's just wild. And I hope you get your ring, but I also kind of hope you don't get your ring because I really want to dive into this a third time. That's gonna be what.
And
uh,
we can dive in a third time with or without it, man. You know that.
that's a bet. That's a bet. We got what's up? We got to pull up to Charlotte one of these days, bro.
Man, I'm itching to go back. Itching, itching.
I I remember whenever my wife and I were on our way to Atlanta, and as soon as we landed in Charlotte, I was like, "Yes, sir, this is it's Cliff country right here." I had to drop that tweet real quick. I was literally rushing to my next gate. I'm like, I'm tweeting and going, bro. Like, I
Mhm.
got to.
Yeah.
uh, we'll go back to the positivity. Rams T behind us, unless you think of anything else that you just want to drop out there. Rams T
I
behind us.
inhaled, exhaled. I'm good. I'm good.
There we go. We got it off the chest. We got it off the chest. All right. T aside, I know you were very adamant. You loved working with the players. You loved working with your social team, things like that. Who were some of the dopest players to work with while you were with the Rams, and why?
Oh man. For first, I gotta start with my man Dante Dion. Dante Dion. His personality and his character is everything you want in content. And we never had a problem with him getting a check-in video, a checkout video. He was always open to doing it, and plus his game backed it up. So yeah, Dante Dion is up there. Terrell Burgess is another one who's a real cool guy. He's a safety, real down to earth, and yeah, those were the main two. And then Kendall Blanton, who really turned up in the postseason. He was definitely involved with a lot of our stuff. And then when you had the DBs getting involved, like I remember when Jalen he did a cute question of the day, and everybody did it. It was like who had the best fits of 2021. I wasn't there to film. I was just there to kind of like edit and all that good stuff. And like OBJ did it, Aaron Donald did it. Matt Gay, our kicker, Johnny Hecker, our punter. Like everybody was doing it. So it was cool. I think winning played a big part in that, because it's like, yo, if we're not winning, they're not gonna do this stuff. They're not gonna want to do this stuff. And so, Matthew Stafford was very chill and very like focused. We got Cooper Cup on a few videos, which was good. But yeah, him, Cup, Higby, for the most part, Donald, they were all just pretty like locked in. They were kind of just like walk like right past it, which is understandable. Like they're best. They're not known for doing that goofy stuff. But yeah, man, yeah, Dante Dion, he was a team favorite for sure.
Yeah, and then as you were mentioning that, it kind of led me to another question. Do any of the players, like, did they recognize you from TikTok already? Like, did you have any run-ins or encounters like that? And if so, how did that kind of go?
Yeah, so Tremaine Akram, who's an O lineman, he used to play at Clemson, but now he's O lineman for the guys. And Terrell Burgess, those were like the only two that really knew me. Everyone else, they had kind of seen me. So I think Sebastian Joseph Day said he saw me a couple times. But yeah, other than that, so when we would chop it up about stuff like that, they'd just be like, "Yo, dude, your stuff's like hilarious and all that." And like, how do I get like y'all? And I'm sitting there like, man, how do I get like y'all? Because y'all's page, what y'all get paid today is probably my whole salary. So I was telling them like, man, how do I get like y'all? Like y'all got it made. So yeah, they're all like really cool guys. There's always this stigma that these players are like jerks or assholes or whatever the case is. But nah, these guys are great. And then when we got Von Miller, who's amazing, and OBJ, and when you put them together, it's like, yo, that's social content gold. So yeah, like a lot of things just really went in our favor this year for sure.
The only thing that could have went in your favor a little bit more is a flag football game that was played in front of Sean McVay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So when I met Coach McVay, it was in the team hotel, I think a couple of days before camp started. And so he took like a double like look at me, and I was like, yeah. And so we were talking, and he had asked me if I played ball anywhere, and I told him, I'm like, yeah, I played ball with Van. He's like, is that right? And so we were chopping it up a little bit. So he left, and he's like, what's your name one more time? And I was like, Clifford Taylor. And then so yeah, the fact that he did a double take, I'll take that with me the rest of my life. So yeah,
Hey, hey, bro, that's gold right there, man.
yeah,
He did the whole double take, like, hey, you sure you ain't on the squad, bro? Like,
yeah, yeah. Like Coach Morris, Raheem Morris did the same thing all the time too.
damn.
Yeah.
That's so funny, bro. That's hilarious. Tell us about the growth. We talked about the growth of the Rams TikTok. We talked about your TikTok following already. Talk about the growth of your own personal TikTok, how you grew your following to where it currently sits, which is at, once again, 334.6K. Let that sink in for 334.6 thousand people follow you on TikTok.
Yeah, when you say it like that, it's like, man, that is a lot. But yeah, man, I'll say this kind of like a little before we spoke, I kind of made like a shift because I can do football skits in my sleep. That's no problem. But one thing I really started noticing is that whenever I would go on like previous podcasts, they would never ask me about my social media. They would ask me about my walk-on story. And then I kind of sat there and I'm like, no one really speaks for the walk-ons on social media like that. And it's like, if I can do skits in my sleep, would I rather do that or do, content that's going to actually like inspire and change people's lives? And I'm like, let's do that. So I switched and started doing like focusing on walk-on stuff. There's some lifestyle stuff. I don't do nearly as much skits as I used to. And then I started incorporating this thing called Walk On Wednesdays, which, vibes. But yeah, so like every Wednesday, people that have questions about what it's like just being a D1 athlete, I answer, all the time. And then with that all came the start of the Clifford show, or the hashtag the Clifford show. And the reason that came about is because AJ and I went to a game, a high school game, and they weren't saying they weren't saying AJ Green, they were saying AJTV. And it's like, yo, like, so you have like a brand for yourself. And I was like, I don't have that. Like I can say CEO of the Walk On until the like, I don't want to be that forever. You know what I'm saying? I want to have my own thing. So it's like, okay, I can't say Clifford, the big black guy, because that's too close to Clifford the dog. I was like, I can't just say Clifford Taylor IV because that just don't sound right. And I can't use Clifford because Clifford the big red dog will just be everywhere. Let alone you put a freaking, golden retriever and just, dye him red or whatever. So I was like, you know what? The Clifford show. It just makes sense. And so I talked to my guy, Mike. I was like, we're going to start the Clifford show. And then from that point on, now anytime I hop on a podcast or I go like to these events, now they start saying the Clifford show. And it's just like, that's what I was gunning for. So yeah, definitely Michael Raymond has been, such a game changer. I mean, he's been my best friend for a while now. He's been just garnering deals just all over the place, like the likes of a Gatorade, the Wilsons, the Shop GLD, which is my personal favorite. Crocs, I'm wearing Crocs right now, and just all of these good opportunities that are coming through him. Snickers. I'm allergic to chocolate, and he still was able to get me a Snickers deal, which is like the biggest flex in the world.
Bro, you can send all of those Snickers my way.
Yeah. So the fact that he was able to get me that, it's just like, that just goes to show like how he is. So yeah, no, Michael's is one hell of a guy. He's about as tall as me. He might be a little taller than me. He's like 6'6", 6'7". But yeah, no, like our chemistry, and it's honestly so cool seeing how much it has grown since last year, because before, when we spoke before I signed, he told me that I was going to be like his first influencer or talent. And then like I was looking at all these other agencies, and I was like, okay, if I sign with these other guys, I would just be another fish in the ocean. I would just be another thing on the agency. And I was like, nah, I don't want to do that. I want to do the 50 Cent route and go with him where he doesn't have anybody like me yet. And we can just like grow that thing into what it is now. Now we got guys like AJ Green, Gritty, Trinity Thomas, who's a phenomenal gymnast for the Gators, Big C, Colin Castleton now. And we just got Emily Cole, who was known for her formal inviting my guy Mitchell Pelkey, who does the cross for Ohio State. They kind of did their thing together. They ended up on podcasts, and they were all over the place. And so yeah, we're just getting people left and right. My homegirl Emily Sullivan, who used to ball at Florida, is now here in LA. It's just a nonstop army, and it keeps going. So
yes, sir. I know you just kind of touched on it, man, but I'm looking at your list of brands that you've worked with in your TikTok career, bro, and it looks like a Cheesecake Factory menu, my man. Literally, bro.
Me cheesecake too. Yep.
Facts. We got to get cheesecake, dog. Like, come on. But thus far, you've worked with the likes of Gatorade, Crocs, bro, Shop GLD, DraftKings, many more than that. Snickers, like you just said. Well, you kind of just touched on it, but how are these opportunities coming about? And what has it been like working with these brands? And I guess, how did you do that before you had Mike in your life?
Honestly, hope, faith, and a lot of luck. My good friend of mine, Raekwon Smith, who's like the king of NIL, took a play out of his book. He would just reach out and message companies. And I feel like in this day and age, a lot of people are just scared to reach out. You reach out, you never know. And I remember one time I DM Panera. I was like, hey, y'all looking for like some sort of like influencer? They got back to me, and maybe something in the works. Just keep it hush hush a little bit, but yeah, no, just like reaching out to companies, and then I think Michael saw that in me. He saw like the hustle, the go getting out of me, and he was just like, okay, we can work together. And honestly, he made my role easier because it's like this is what he does. So it's like whenever I'm doing work for the Rams, I know he's gonna hold it down for me, and bring these different deals in. So it was cool being able to multitask, working while also making content for these companies and being able to get stuff out there, which was great. And honestly, sometimes I look back and I'm like, damn, my page is sometimes it just looks like a whole ad. Because now you got like DraftKings, Gatorade, Crocs, and all these like brands, and it's like, damn, like we got a lot here. So it's definitely a lot happening. But yeah, Michael Raymond Rep is the best. Our way or no way.
I'm still waiting for my complimentary pair of Crocs.
What size?
11.
11. Okay. All right.
All right. On that note, no, I'm just playing. If you could collab with anybody on TikTok that you haven't already, who's your first pick?
You know what? It ain't AJ Green. It ain't Destroying. It's a dude that I've looked up to for a very long time. Him and I are pretty good friends now. My guy Scooter Magruder, man. Scooter Magruder. I mean, he was one of the guys that really wanted me to start doing, content creation. His videos, Jared can attest to this. I mean, we grew up, we would literally wait on our beds on a Sunday afternoon, just waiting for his video to upload. Like we were just diehard fans of him. We loved his stuff. We still do now. And so when him and I became friends, when we followed each other, it was like, yo, like, I don't think you understand, man. Like, we were your biggest fans. Like, we used to watch his videos religiously. So that's definitely a collab, either them or RDC World. RDC World, oh man, I don't know how they do it. Every video they make, it just never misses. So Scooter, Magruder, or RDC World for sure.
Tell us a story about a time, this could be any time in your life, that you've had to overcome adversity, and how did you do it?
Overcome adversity. Does walk-on story count?
That counts. Let's do it. Let's run it back.
Yeah. So, no experience, having to reach out to, trainers, having to reach out to, local, gyms and things like that. And just, going on YouTube, looking up how to, work on my proper technique for a tight end, the why I'm running certain routes, why I'm running certain concepts. And actually, now that I think about it, it's not even that. It's like more so understanding the playbook at Florida. Because my first year at Florida, that playbook was Morse code to me. I didn't know what in the world I was looking at. And so that first year, man, it was a struggle understanding that thing. But then when Coach Brewster came in, I was like, okay, clean slate, clean opportunity. This gives me a chance to really, understand it. So I don't know. It just like one day, man, it's all the schemes, all the signals, it just clicked. I can't really describe it. It just like clicked one day. And it was just like, okay, I run that route, I do that. And it was just like everything just became easy to me. And that's why Kyle and I are still close to this day, because he understood like my first year, it was a struggle. But that second year when we came back from COVID and he saw like how much, I improved, that's when we were able to, create that chemistry that lasts, forever. I mean, hell, I just did a design for his lovely girlfriend and her restaurant, The Pit by Lyric, and he said she loved it. So those bonds, like I said, they last forever.
What is the biggest piece of advice you could give to anybody listening to today's show?
I would say, don't be afraid to create. Don't be afraid to, get yourself out there. Because I say this all the time. It's like, ain't it crazy what creativity can do? I mean, literally me, like a freaking walk-on who's never played a down in his life, wins an Orange Bowl, and then a few years later wins a Super Bowl. Like, where have you ever heard that? So honestly, just like placing bets on yourself, keeping it real on social media and just having fun, blocking out the noise too. I know it's a lot easier said than done, but you're just one of those things that you just have to do. You got to block out the noise because it can get to you. because I remember I was just bored one day, and I think I was in the mall, and they were kind of showing like a segment of the D'Amelio show, and in that segment, it showed them like bawling their eyes out, and they were just talking about how like every day it's like they can't go anywhere without getting bashed, and it's like, yo, man, see, that's why you gotta like block out the noise. It's a lot harder for them because they got a gazillion followers, but it's like, see, this is what I'm saying. It's like if you let them, consume your soul, it's like, God knows what's gonna happen. So I definitely try to block out the noise and just, that's the thing about it. It's like I don't really have a lot of negativity on my page because we keep it real on mine. We don't really sugarcoat anything. We don't fake anything. It's like it's all real and it's all goofy and fun. So yeah, not a lot of hate on mine, which I'm thankful for. But I know there's some out there, but I just kind of ignore it.
Yeah. And this is on the record. Cliff was telling me this is on the record of the longest podcast he's ever been a part of. This is definitely one of the longest of Michael Balco show history. So with that, the last question is just plug in your social media handle so we can all follow you.
Perfect. Okay, so I'll start from lowest to highest. So Snapchat, Cliff Taylor IV. Twitter, Cliff Taylor IV. And then my Instagram, my full name, Clifford Taylor IV. And then the big flex, TikTok, is just my first name. There's no underscore, no numbers. It's just straight up at Clifford. So yeah.
That's so dope, bro. That's so dope. Thank you so much for hopping on the show, my man. I know this isn't the last time we're going to be chopping it up on the old MBS. And whenever you get a show, man, we'll just have to be just running it up.
Yeah. I gotta come up with a game plan for that, man.
Got to.
Yeah.
But no, seriously, thank you so much for hopping on the show, my man.
Absolutely.
Thank you for opening up about your story with the Los Angeles Rams, and thank you most importantly for opening up about your story with your struggles and everything like that. And thank you for sharing how you overcame them. I know it's going to touch some people, man. And once again, thank you so much, and I appreciate you.
Absolutely, man. Thank you so much.